You first started with just £100 in your savings, and you started building your first martial arts place. So,
Yeah.
how did you make this possible?
Yeah, I just had £100 savings. I was working at North Devon Leisure Centre, which is over that hill, about 30 miles away, as a lifeguard for £2.75 an hour. It's pretty painful times. And I lived in a bed sit. And then you'd have to turn the sofa into a bed every night and back again. And I couldn't survive. We got evicted 3 times from different bed sits because we couldn't afford a £30 a week rent. And then I had this ambition always from being bullied at school had this hunger to be able to turn my passion into my profession and teach martial arts as my career. But no one had done it before. Nobody had done it before. I had no school qualifications whatsoever. I did my best at school, but it wasn't for me. It just wasn't something that I was too into academic side. Okay. So my mum's one of 14 children. They've all literally gone to university, been very academic, got degrees. And then my father's side is all about get a trade, become an electrician, a plumber. But it wasn't for me. I don't know why. I just knew that I wanted to run martial arts for a living. And just by chance, I had a friend who come back from America, and he said, Matt, you wouldn't believe what's going on out there. And back then, there was none of this internet stuff. It was all, we had MySpace and email. This is still when we had a red telephone box. I remember he paged me, right, and I had to go and ring him up from a red telephone box. And he said, Matt, there's people in the States who are making millions from martial arts. And I said, well, I don't want to compromise my standards. He said, no, you don't have to do that. They got standards and they're making the money. So I saved up enough of my money from the £2.75 an hour, and I got a flight to a convention in San Francisco. And this is like a 3-day event, and it had over 1,000 multi-millionaire martial arts business owners there. Wow. And the organizer of the event, Nicholas Kokinis, he was in his 80s. And he liked the fact I used my last savings. So I saved up. I think the ticket was about £300, something like that. Mm-hmm. You're talking like 97, 98 now. He liked the fact that I was 17 years old, used up my last money. I introduced myself to him too. America's very different. They pat you on your back and they want you to succeed. When you're over here, they'll stick knives on you, they'll troll on you and hate on you and so on. It's different over there. And he said to me, he said, Matt, I want you to study for the next 3 days. Then I'm going to introduce you to the biggest martial arts school owners in the world. Okay. I want you to get up at 4 a.m, take down notes, and try and take it back to UK. He basically wanted to try and make an example out of me, like a case study of being so young that anyone can do it. No qualifications, nothing. Of just my martial arts black belts. That's it. So I took it back to the UK, the systems, and we made it very professional. We took martial arts out of the dark ages. Mm-hmm. Made it very educational, so the kids got life skill lessons. So everything the school system doesn't teach, we teach. We filled the gaps for that. And it just it absolutely exploded. I put everyone on monthly tuition, which was never done before. Yeah, so I mean, literally 6 months later, I had 700 members. I was making £1 million a year. Wow. Some things didn't work, like the high fives and the hugs from the States. It's quite normal for them. And the UK is like, whoa, what are you doing? That don't work. But I modified it over the years, and now we're almost 3 decades in. We got this down.
Why martial arts specifically and not something else?
So I've been bullied at school really bad from 5 years old. To be honest with you, the bullying never stops, even when you're successful. Now it's like online bullying and trolls and so on. But I was being bullied at school, and the child next to me at school said, listen, this bully's going to hurt you. Why don't you learn to defend yourself? So I went with him to a martial arts class, and I was just, I won't say gifted, but I do believe there's a lot of genetical side of being good at some sports. Like I'm never going to be an Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I've got long legs. I'm 6'4".
You're kind of tall, yeah.
Yeah, I'm tall, and I could already do the kicks relatively well. I could do the side splits already. I was flexible, and I just knew this was all I wanted to do. My parents were horrified. My grandparents were even more horrified. Said, Matthew, you can't make any money kicking your legs in the air, and no one's going to take you seriously. But yeah, I mean, a couple of years later, my father and my mother ended up working for me. So,
wow. What's your favorite practice in martial arts?
Well, so for me, my original style was Taekwondo.
Okay.
And then what we did then is we made Taekwondo the base style, and we took all the best bits from all the other martial arts systems into Taekwondo, and put it in there to make it a family, make it realistic too. That it's proper self-defense. But yeah, majority of people who join my schools, they bring their parents, bring their kids to the classes because they want to be more educated, more disciplined, respectful, self-control, set goals, everything that the academic school system doesn't teach them. And it took off. So they have homework sheets and homework books they have to fill out, and they have to be good at home and good at school. Otherwise, they can't go for the next colour grade because we're all working towards a black belt. And I was one of the first to do this, and I was hated for it at the time. Now everyone tries to copy what I do, but that's how it expanded out. It went nuts. I mean, I just couldn't imagine. I was at the original building the other day, and I was showing some team members how I had no money, and they gave me 6 months free rent for the building, and I had to decorate it myself. And it was on New Year's Eve, and it's right on the front of a town called Barnstable, and everyone was partying and fireworks are going off and everyone was getting drunk, and I was in there decorating, looking out the window thinking, am I doing the right thing here or what?
Grinding. Yeah,
I got no money. Yeah, on opening day I had people queuing up around the street who were wanting to sign up, and it became the biggest martial arts school in the UK.
At what age, where was that?
I was just turned 17, 18. I was 18, about 18, yeah.
So at 18, while everybody else were partying, drinking, doing whatever, you were working hard to make your dream come true.
Yeah, I was doing it's that saying, you observe the masses and do the opposite. Everyone else was getting drunk, and I was focusing on my goals. And turning my dreams. I mean, I doubted myself a little bit when I was staring out. I still remember it now, staring out the window, thinking, "What the heck am I doing?" And I'm so glad I did. I've had to sacrifice a lot. It's not been normal, has it, my life? But it was. I wouldn't change it. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And I think, and I see that in myself right now because I'm doing this, and I don't have the years of experience like other people are doing. And I can see the loneliness, the path that you have to follow in order for you to find that success that you're always looking for. And with people that I sit down with and I talk to, I always say success for somebody, anything can be different. So your own version of success could be money. Your own version of success could be freedom. But I think financial freedom is one of the key elements that everybody should have. I'm not saying it's easy to do unless you come from money.
Yeah.
But at some point you want to understand how this works. And you are the most ideal person to talk to because you have gone from literally zero to becoming a multi-millionaire. I actually Googled you and I asked Google, what is your net worth? And it said to me, is 120 million. Is that pounds or euros? Or
it'd be pounds. I hope it'd be more than that by now. I've been working my butt off the last few years.
Is that the truth?
Yeah, I mean, once you get to that kind of level, get past the 10 million stage, it's very hard to know what your net worth really is because my brand is worth a lot of money.
Right.
And I've got a lot of property and different things. But yeah, I would hope it's more than that. I would hope so. But I don't know. Ask Google to pump you out any answer you want. But it's been incredible. It's been insane when I look back now because I'm still only 44, and I've achieved so much. And I remember when I've come from, well, I really had to count the pennies. I mean, it really did. And do you know what now too? Multiple times, I've got a lot of money now, but I teach people, mentor them how to start businesses without money. And I get them there within a year. I get them making £10,000 a month profit. It's not that difficult. They just don't teach you this stuff at school. So I've literally made thousands of people, financially free. And it's not that difficult. You just take your passion, what you love, you turn it into your profession. But you need somebody who knows what they're doing mentoring. You're not going to learn this stuff at school or college or university. And for me, I find it very easy to make money. It's never been a problem for me. It's always a way to...
Right. What do you think is the best business model to follow in 2024?
Depends what you're into. I mean, anything now in today's world, 2024, you want to be doing anything you can online if you can. I think the retail and all that's going to go completely online. There'll be the death of the high street. It's almost died now as it is. So my business, my goal for all my clients is to get them, and my franchisees, get them earning 6 figures profit per year, not gross, because a lot of people turn turnover. Turnover is vanity. Profit is sanity. I don't know why these mentors gurus keep talking, I want to turn over 2 million. Who cares? You know, it's what you get to keep is important. So 6 figures profit per year, and then invest in property or real estate. Right. Depends on where you're watching this from. What it's called. That's my formula. So an online business is very easy to sell. As people watching this on YouTube or listening to this, you've got a device or which you can work from where you can set up an online business, and you can all get 10 people paying you £1,000 a month, or 20 people paying you £500 a month for your information or what you're good at, your passion or what you're studying, and then you're done. And then you take your 6 figures and invest it into property, and you learn no money down strategies, all these different ways to invest in property, and you don't need money to get into property either. The first 47 properties I bought were all no money down.
Right.
So it's just not taught out there. And a lot of I'm very different to the others. A lot of mentors want to charge you a fortune for this course and then that course. I just do one course and just throw it all out because it's not my main income. This is my hobby. For most people, going to the gym or doing martial arts is a hobby. That's my identity. That's what I do. So my passion or hobby is mentoring people to go and start and scale a business or scale a business and go global. I love doing that. That's why I do this with you, because it's my fun thing. I want to give back.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having us.
You're welcome.
I know this means the world to me right now. It might not be the same equal exchange for you, but I truly appreciate this, and I'm willing to do and travel to somebody. I'm not arrogant, and I said, this guy is giving me an opportunity right now. The least I can do is just go to him and
you got a very professional setup here. It's awesome and fantastic. Yeah.
Thank you so much. You mentioned that in terms of property, you have so many properties with no money down. How can someone leverage this opportunity and do the same in a few words?
There's a lot to it. So I normally teach this over like a year program. So I run something called MF Prestige. You're part of MF.club, I think.
I am.
Yeah. So the next level after that, I don't do levels. I don't do upsell to this and upsell to this. But the next one after that, I've got a group of people, and it's reasonably priced. And we meet up once a month on Zoom and every third month in person. And then I take them to events, like they all come into dinner with me with Simon Cowell next month. And so anything I feel that's interesting, I bring them along. And I get them around the table. I don't like the word mastermind. It's more networking. And I say to them, this is what you got to do. This is what you got to do. This is how you achieve money, no money down or buying undervalue or finding these deals. You need to find someone who's been there and done it and mirror what they've done. And so gaining a mentor is the quickest way you're going to get to do that. So with me, they know they can, if they WhatsApp me, I'll get back to them in 72 hours about any question whatsoever. When we meet up, they bring their challenges, their questions to me, and we cover that. So there's many no money down strategies to get into property. There's loads of different ways you can do it, and finding the deals below market value. I'm all about owning assets as well. I think like the rent to rent thing is fine, and service accommodation, but they become heavily regulated. Some places in the world it's already in. You need to earn 6 figures and own assets, so that money works for you and you don't work for money. That's the key.
Mm-hmm. And I think that comes from a very good quote that I came across the other day from Charles Swindoll. Life is 10% of what it gives you and 90% of how you react to it. And that example that you just mentioned that reminds me of that exact thing.
It's 80% mindset too. So the first books I ever read was Unleash the Power by Tony Robbins, and then Awaken the Giant by Tony Robbins. And he talks about something called modeling, where go out there, find someone who's done what you've done, and it will take a shortcut. So if people hang out with me, I mean, I've spent nearly 3 decades learning this this craft, this business. I don't know anything different than entrepreneurship and investing. So rather than try and figure out for yourself, you could take 20 years or you might not ever get there. They can spend 2 or 3 years working with me and achieve mega results. So that's a concept, and it for me it works. Do you know, I love doing it. I love hanging around like-minded people. When we meet up once a month, I love it. Hanging around like-minded people who've got the same goals, and they vary. Some might be property, some might be social media gurus and rent to rent, or they might want to be famous and learn how to get in the media, and so on, or just personal development, how to set goals and achieve them, or introduction into getting celebrities to endorse their businesses, or get guests on their podcast, know how to set this up in the right way. And yeah, they're like a family, MF Prestige, and that's what I called it. It's my prestigious group of people, and they have to apply to work with me. I don't just take anyone on. I really do turn people away because they have to fit within that group, otherwise it just won't work.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I love doing this.
And this is very interesting because having a decent conversation with someone, it can open so many doors that you never thought of you were this person, of who you could be if you were open this door, if you were able to see the opportunity that you have in front of you.
Yeah.
I did a social experiment recently. I took part in an event. I went to a local bar that the Exeter University were holding. And I said, let me go there. Let me see, because it was for young entrepreneurs, for people who are just finishing school. And let me see how many people can I meet? What are these people are looking for? And how can I sort of be the person in the room to talk about something that I've done, so I can see if these people that are my ideal audience, what are they attracted to? And we had so many great conversations. Some of them, they were very techy and into building the for Bitcoins and all that, the blockchain technology. I mean, my expertise on that is very, very limited, but at least I know something to just have a conversation, at least start a conversation. And from there, we talked about the things that I've done, like these things that I'm doing right now with you. And it completely surprised me. The whole energy in the club and the people that were surrounding on different groups, they all came together and start listening. And I said, okay. So if I show up and I show them what I've done, no bullshitting, just completely the truth, no fluff, this gets people's attention. But how do I retain people's attention? And I started telling them more about my personal stories, funny moments when I first moved to the UK with £0 in my bank account. My first job application was at McDonald's, because I said, I don't care what it is, as long as I start, because I believe in myself so much that I know that I can achieve so many things. And one thing led to another, and everybody were blending in and keep listening and wanted to be part of that. And I said, this is so interesting, because now I understand the average young person who wants to listen to this kind of stuff and wants to watch this kind of stuff. So for me, it was a eye-opener, because I wasn't aware what my audience really wants in a way. So I exposed myself to this environment and I had to find out. And ever since that day, I'm more friendly with more people. I say, hi, how's your day? You know, always put a smile on their face.
I always say in my events, you're only 2 or 3 handshakes from anyone in the world. That's the truth. If I wanted to get Arnold Schwarzenegger on the end of the phone by tonight, I would achieve it. There's always a way to do anything. You got to identify your niche too, right? That's the key thing, and nail down on your, I don't know what your niche is with this podcast, but some people will niche down on entrepreneurship or investing or relationships or whatever it may be, supercars. But niching down is important, because then you know exactly who you're going to appeal to. Right. And then only working with that group and becoming the most famous person in that niche, then people will want to come to you, come on your podcast, buy your services, buy your products. So niching down is extremely important. But you don't want to niche down so tight that you will reject certain guests or certain people and so forth. But Yeah, that's a good little way you put it across there. But anyone's accessible. I mean, you hit me up on Instagram, you weren't pushy. And I think if you just say to people, exactly this, I'm starting this thing off, and I know I haven't got much. You just be you. Just be you. I mean, I'm here in a flipping tracksuit, right? I don't care what people think of me. I'm not going to be something I'm not. So, exactly. And people appreciate that. And when I'm on stage, I'll talk about my down times I've been through, not just the good times. They sit forward and they think, I can relate to this person. So when you DM'd me, I'm like, yeah, fair play to the guy. He's gone out of his way, and yeah. I think that needs to be more people like that in this world. So it's really important.
I appreciate that. That means the world coming from you,
You're welcome.
You have such an amazing background, so many stories. And one of a big parts of your life was because you were ex-bodyguard of Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
I have so many questions about that.
Sure.
But how did you even had this opportunity to come across Michael and become his bodyguard?
So when my martial arts school took off, the one we talked about earlier on, I was doing $1 million a year. I had a reporter come in, and he had a son and a daughter who trained in the classes, and he wanted to do a story on me. I thought this was the local newspaper, and he interviewed me about Bully Boy, no school qualifications, and he worked out on a calculator that I was making $1 million. He had a Ferrari as well at the time, which kind of gave it away. You couldn't really hide from it, especially in Barnstable. And he went away, and I thought, was this for the local paper? He said, yeah, maybe. Anyway, 2 days later, I didn't hear nothing. And then it was on the front page of every national paper in the UK. Bully Boy becomes millionaire. It was international news. And they used a picture of me when I was a little young at school, my school picture of me doing a punch in a martial arts uniform, a picture of me sat in my car. And on the back of that, TV researchers are looking for stories. So they're flicking for newspapers or online nowadays. And they thought this would be an interesting story. So I did all the morning TV shows and some evening TV shows too. And that came to the attention of a guy called Yuri Geller, who's world famous and all over the world. In the UK, he's more known for bending spoons.
Bending spoons, yeah.
Power of his mind, but everywhere else all positive things. A bit like Tony Robbins, where he's got the firewalk, and Yuri Geller's got the spoon bending thing.
I love how he made his millions.
Yeah. Geller, Yuri's extremely clever, And he wanted to meet me. He wanted to make an anti-bullying video. He's got a good heart to give out to schools all across the UK, where I would teach them the self-defense side of things, and Yuri would teach a bit more positive mind. Stay positive and overcome the mind power side of it. We didn't make that video, but we went on to make a fitness-based video, similar type concept, martial arts aerobics type thing. And then he did the power of the mind, and it released in Asia. It was incredibly successful, and we became best friends. And unbeknown to me, I had no idea. I knew he had mega famous friends. I mean, the guy's got this house, it's like a replica of the White House, just outside of Reading, Southern-on-Thames. Very motivating for me as a young guy go and hang out with him, seeing that house, saying, I want to be where you are, Yuri. I want a house like you've got. And I used to go for long walks with Yuri. Every day he'd walk for a couple of hours a day. And famous people would call, but not this person. And then, well, not in my, maybe he did, I don't know. Presidents and royalties, different like would call Yuri Geller up. But then I was in my house in Barnstable, 3 o'clock in the morning, phone rings. The landline back then was the main method of communication. And it was Yuri. Yuri Geller saying, you got to come to my house now. Right. And I said, I can't. What am I supposed to say to my other half? She's going to think I'm having an affair or something. If she said, if you don't come now, you're going to regret this for the rest of your life. And he said, I love you. And he put the phone down on me, and that was it. So I thought, what the heck? He's never steered me wrong. He taught me about investing in property. So he's like, Matt, stop buying Ferraris, stop doing this. Keep buying houses. They're not going to build any more land. Very, very, very clever guy. So I drove to his house. It was about a 2.5, 3 hour drive. The gates open, and I drive down to his mansion. And then there's nothing there that was unusual. There are 3 black SUV, blacked out vans outside. And I walk in the living room, and then this frail guy stood up from the sofa, walked across to me, And he bowed, said, "Hi, Master Fiddes. My name's Michael Jackson. Pleased to meet you." And I'm thinking, wow, man, this is a prank show. I was looking for all the secret cameras or something because there were a lot of prank shows back then. And we got on really well. Me and Mike became good friends. And it turned out Joseph Jackson, his dad, wanted all the Jackson 5 to be black belts and to learn how to defend themselves because they're so famous so young. And he got to first degree black belt, and he wanted someone who he could trust to take him to second degree, along with his best friend, Mark Lester, who played Oliver Twist, the original Oliver Twist. So they're the same age, they grew up together and so on. So we were talking all day, all night about Bruce Lee. That was the other thing too. He wanted me, I had connections to Bruce Lee's family. So he wanted me to introduce him to Bruce Lee's ex-wife and Bruce Lee's daughter, Shannon Lee. Sadly, Bruce's son, Brandon, passed away with an accident on the film set. And what Michael likes to do is a bit like what Tony Robbins talks about. He likes to find the best in the world at something and find out what made Bruce Lee so relevant all these years on. Why is he still the most famous martial artist, action star ever? So he wanted to quiz his ex-wife and his daughter about that. So he wanted me to try and make that meeting happen. We got on really well. And for a year or so, we were just friends. And then his long-term bodyguards had left. And it's very hard because he had, when he would recruit them, they would cost him, I think, about $150,000, $200,000 a month. But then he couldn't answer the phone in front of them in case they sell a story. So when I used to go out with Michael, because I was the martial arts guy, I had big muscles back then. I've let them go. I don't need big muscles anymore. I used to be protective of my friends. So when they were out and the paparazzi would come in and the fans and the public, I used to hold on to him. And my picture would be associated with him all the time. And in the end, because I was the martial arts man, 6'4", it just became a thing. Like Michael said, you're my bodyguard. In the end, I said to him, I said, "Look, Mike, if you want me to protect you wherever in the world, it's fine." I was already a millionaire before I met him. People think I made my money from him. He never paid me a penny. He offered me money, but I never take it because that's why the relationship worked. It was non-transactional. Right. We were friends. And for the first 5 years, I did a lot with him personally. Then I started having kids and stuff. And he's very caring. He doesn't want me to take a bullet when I've got children being born and stuff like that. But I had my family, my brother-in-law at the time. We used to help out. And I had access to all these martial arts instructors. So he was, I took over his security operation. And after like mid-2005, I took more of a backseat. I became more of his friend again. So I'd visit him when he was in London with Mark Lester. I talked to him on the phone and go and visit him whenever I could. And he would come and visit me. And that's how it worked out. So he became best friend and so forth. But it was a non-transactional relationship. And he knew my kids and it was great. He used to take them out shopping and stuff. And a wonderful man. And he taught me how to franchise. He taught me how to take my 5 martial arts schools I had in North Devon and get my mind thinking to expand via franchising. I told him no one's ever done that before in the martial arts. He said, "That's exactly why you got to do it." And we opened up 400 sites on the back of his advice. He was a shrewd man. That guy was a ruthless businessman. He wrote down on a napkin exactly what I had to do: build a brand, understand media, and make use of that, become a big name, make things into manuals, script everything. So you go to any of the Matt Fiddes martial arts schools, they all are the same. Right. Make the curriculum, make it family based. And when I used to throw Michael objections, he used to say, "Yeah, but it can be done because look what I've done, Matt. I've come from a poor family in Gary, Indiana, 9 children in a 2-bedroom house. My dad used to work in a steel mill. We used to have handouts of food to make us eat because they had no money. And he's got the biggest selling album in the world, Thriller, filling out stadiums of 80,000 people. So he wouldn't have any of my objections. He was like, "You're talking nonsense. You can do this." And then from that point onwards, whenever I used to ring him or he used to ring me, he'd be like, "How many schools you open, Matt? How are you doing?" And I'll throw the question back at him and say, "How are you doing?" He said, "I've just signed a tour of Korea for $80 million." And I'll come off the phone thinking, man, telling my phone, Mike's kicking my butt. I need to up my game. But he kept me accountable. Right. Awesome guy.
I think that is so important.
Yeah.
To keep someone accountable. And I haven't come across to this so much, especially based on your experiences. But I think this pushes your limits to be somewhere that you could never imagine yourself to be at. Do you think that was the same thing?
Looking back now, at the time, I didn't know any different. Because 18-year-old, my best friend's Yuri Geller, his best friend's Michael Jackson, Michael Jackson's best man at his wedding, fathers to my children. Didn't know any different, did I? I didn't have my normal 18-year-olds were going out nightclubbing and getting drunk. I was mixing with superstars and billionaires. Mohammed Al-Fayed was a good friend of mine too. Oh, yeah. Michael introduced me to him, who owned Harrods and Ritz Hotel in Paris. So back then I took it for granted. But you're right. I was part of the elite when we got together and had dinner on Saturday nights at Mohammed Al-Fayed's house. It'd be me, Michael Jackson, and David Blaine, and Daryl Hannah, Yuri Geller. I mean, incredible people, billionaires and multimillionaires. And little old me sat there.
Right.
And they would say to me, Mohammed Al-Fayed would say, while you're talking about ideas for us to make the next billion, everyone else is out there getting drunk. You're in the right place. So it's so important to hang around the right people. Your net worth will be your net worth. The people you hang around with will be who you become. So looking back now, absolutely. If it weren't for that incredible mastermind, they call it nowadays, or network I was part of, I wouldn't have pushed myself so hard.
Do you think it was hard for you to keep up the promise that you made to Michael, open up so many other...
Yeah, he was tough on me, man. That guy was tough on me. I used to dodge Michael Jackson's phone calls. Yeah, I know. People laugh at it all the time. I remember one time, I'm not one of these 5 a.m. people, right? So on Saturdays, I'll sleep in. And who called me first? Britney Spears called me first, because we're all part of the same network back then. And she called me up, and my rehearsal wife... I call her my ex-wife, rehearsal wife, the mother of my 3 eldest children. She would say, look, Brittany's on the phone. So I tell her I'll give her a call back. I need to sleep. And then next one would be Yuri Geller's on the phone. What ring about? Then it'll be Michael Jackson's on the phone. Dear me, no, not again. So tell him I'm ringing back. And then I think to myself, God, this is not normal at all, is it? On a Saturday morning, I got people waking me up like this. But no, he was hard on me. I mean, Michael was tough on me. He's like, just like his dad Joseph was on him maybe. He was tough on me, man. That guy was... And whenever I go and see him in London, when he'd come in and visit and come and see me, I'm at the Lanesborough Hotel to Dorchester, I knew the first thing he'd say to me, how's your business going? How many schools are opened up?
That relationship, was it just with you, or was it with everybody that Michael associated himself
his
with?
Network was very high level.
Right.
Michael Jackson's network was the biggest stars and biggest investors in the world. Like the Sultan of Brunei was his friend, and yeah. So I think just because of the people you mix with, I don't think he don't know any different. He's been famous since he was 5. He had his dad pushing him, then Motown Records pushing him. That's just what's in his blood. That's how Michael was wired up. And yeah, I mean, it was incredible insight. And also, the truth of the matter is, if you're friends with someone like Michael Jackson, and it opens up doors, you can pretty much... You get hold of anyone you want to get hold of. Absolutely. And if you seem to be loyal to that person, like I was for all my life now, I'd never sell him out. I'd never do a book on him. I've been offered crazy money. But the truth is, there's no dirt on Michael. He was this incredible genius who manipulated media. And he taught me how to build out my business. Between him and Yuri Geller, Yuri the property side and mindset, Michael Jackson with his building a mega brand. There's no way I could have lost. So yeah, I owe a lot to him. Absolutely.
Moving forward, you mentioned media, and especially with such a high profile yourself, you are a megastar, and you've always been, not always, but you are on the front page of every magazine, and you used to be, and every single media pretty much come around and try to get a story out of you. And I recently saw that real time, especially what happened with the outside door.
The electric gates.
Right, the electric gates.
That was just an Instagram post.
Just an Instagram post.
Yeah.
But I saw every single newspaper took that and used that, put a headline, and then they made a story.
It was the top 3 story in the world that day. It was embarrassing. I was on stage talking to entrepreneurs in London at the time, and I got whispered in my ear, "You do realise your wife's car getting stuck in your electric gates is the top 3 story in the world?" So wow, you know. But now, do you know what it is? I was a mega star in my own sector. I'm obviously extremely well known in the martial arts world. I've done a lot of TV shows, and I did Rich House Poor House, which was a massive hit when I did that show. And I do lots of shows internationally. Depends on what country you're in. But yeah, little things like that. So that was just an Instagram post. I was warning people of the storm. Be careful. Look what happened. Our electric gates have failed and crushed my wife's car. She's safe. That's all what matters. There's trees falling down everywhere. Be careful. Boom. Hit it out. 10 minutes later, it was all over the world. Yeah. But a lot of that too. On my Instagram post, I don't mention Michael Jackson. Because I've learned to live with it now, right? But before Michael died, it was Matt Fiddes, the business guru, the martial arts tycoon. When Michael died, it's always Michael Jackson's bodyguard, and it will never go. On my Instagram post, you won't see any mention of Michael Jackson at all. But then when the media take it, they have to, because of clickbait and Google searches, because Michael's the most famous man on earth. Even in death, he still is. They try and turn the story about Michael and use a picture of me and Michael, and that's why it blows up, you know. So
massive.
But yeah, you know, you got to learn to live with it. I'm never going to lose that, am I? It's just one of those things. But it's a silly story, that was, and should never have been worldwide news when we got all the crazy stuff that's going on in this world right now. But yeah, that's happened to me numerous times in my life where I've woken up. Also, you get the untrue stories too, and you just got to take that on the chin. Just got to put up with it.
Do you think what happens with media bothers you?
No, not at all.
Level?
No, I used to.
Right.
Yeah, I used to hate people like before social media. It was all like gossiping and graffitiing on walls and what people would think of you. And I used to take that on board, and it used to upset me. I used to have sleepless nights about it. And then some media stories, I'd have sleepless nights. I don't care anymore. I mean,
how did you let go?
Well, you learn in the end that the people who bought that Lamborghini you can see out there, and this mansion we're in, and all my houses are because they made my stories go viral. They hate on me when I go on TV shows. The jealousy, you know, the people who don't, the people who don't like Michael Jackson, they want to hate on you. They don't like me. They've not even met me. I mean, I've got a very tight inner circle. I meet very few people, only at events, and they're like, "Oh, you're so friendly and so approachable." And they don't understand it. They have this preconceived idea that you're arrogant and why are you rich and we're not. Well, I'm trying to inspire the world. Get off your backside. Stop watching the news. Yes, there is a crisis in the world about the cost of living and interest rates highest they've ever been, but do something about it. You know, we're not all struggling. You don't have to be struggling. I've got people booming out there at the moment in business because they don't listen to the media. They're focusing on what I tell them. And that's what's important to me. But the media stuff, I understand how the game works, right? The more haters you get, the more trolling you get, the story goes even more wilder, causes traffic to look you up on Google. They go to your website, your Facebook pages. I made hundreds of thousands. It'd be hard to quantify the figure off that Instagram post the other day from worldwide media coverage. So I understand trollers and haters are part of the game. They really are your lovers.
Right.
And they put you where they are. So every time they troll and hate on my comments and push the story up, then I thank them by buying another Ferrari or something. But that's just, you just got to understand it. Most people in business, they get criticism. They, I don't like that. I don't like being talked about. Or they get a negative review. Or I couldn't care less. I mean, it's a negativity what pushes you out there. Goes back to observe the masses, do the opposite. They can hate on me all they want, but it'll just push me up even more. I attract more eyeballs. The key to success is get wherever attention goes, money flows. You got to have as much eyeballs on you as you possibly can. And I learned that from Michael and Yuri. So it don't bother me. I know it's a part of the game. All that bothers me is a roof over my family's head, my 6 kids and my wife, and I can feed them. If I lost everything tomorrow, I couldn't care less. Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and mansions, I really don't care. And it's hard to teach people that because it was a big thing for me in my early 20s. Get rich, get rich, get rich. But when I started, it was just about trying to prove the bullies wrong and to teach taekwondo as a living, just to earn an income. But now I know what really matters, you know, and that comes from pain points which you can't teach. I lost my mum. I was very close to her. She was a solicitor, and she was like my rock. And she would she knew I wasn't doing well at school, but she'd say, you can do anything you can, Matthew, you just got to put your mind to it. There's no such word as can. That's what I remember her saying. Well, she died in 2012 of breast cancer. She was 56, I was 32. And when you learn your mum's coffin in a grave and you've got millions of pounds net worth and you've hired the best breast cancer professor in the world and £50,000 experimental drugs to try and save her, you still couldn't save her. And I'm looking at my 3 kids watching their nanny go in the grave. You really know what matters, when you walk away that day. So yeah, my life viewpoint's completely changed since that day.
Yeah,
absolutely. So I couldn't care less about people want to hate on me and stuff. They don't know me. They don't know me. Do you know what the funny thing is as well, Dennis? Right, I go to these events. You're going to an event with me next month. You'll see what happens, right? And they all want to meet you after I've done my talk. They find my life quite fascinating. Now, if I go to the martial arts sector, they're the ones who hate on me the most because they just don't understand it. Because I took martial arts out of the dark ages. It's a bit better now because people are adopting what I've done. But it was considered bad to make money out of martial arts when I started. It was not done before. So I'll go to a martial arts convention, and from the second I walk in, get absolutely mobbed by people who want selfies and their martial arts belt signed. And I have to get the guy who organised this, a guy called Bob Sykes, he organised a queue in the end. And I had someone with me just in case we might get an idiot who's trying to be silly. And this guy used to run the biggest martial arts magazine in the world who puts this event on. He came up to me and said, Matt, that person who trolls on you and hates on you all the time on these forums, they're queuing up there for a selfie. Wow. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? They're really your lovers.
You just have to laugh.
Yeah. Once they meet you, and I get it, I get it. You got to understand, right? I was 20 years old. I don't know if you've been to Barnstable before. It's got 30,000 people there. So I'm 20 years old. I've got big pecs, ripped abs back then, hair long, driving a Ferrari 355 Spider with the roof down in the winter. And my best friends are Michael Jackson, Yuri Geller and Britney Spears, all these megastars, Muhammad Al-Fayed. Of course people are going to hate on me. But now I look back, I understand why the town didn't understand me. And I get it. Back then I was deeply hurt by it. Yeah, it was strange. Why everyone talking about me all the time? And I never even met this person. But literally in my circle, you talked about the lonely bit. And there is some truth to that. So my circle of friends, right? You mentioned Rob Moore earlier on, who I speak to daily, very close friend of mine. I trust Rob with anything. So you've got probably 5 or 6 people who I speak to on a daily basis, and that's it.
Right.
But the higher up you go in the chain of success, or whatever you want to call it, people tend to want to have part of you. It becomes difficult. If I meet someone, they want to talk about my life, and I want to talk about their life. They find my life so fascinating, and you do become quite protective. It's strange how it works. Yeah.
How do you find someone else's life interesting for you to be part of his life?
Well, I get fascinated by everyday stuff, like someone who works at McDonald's. I want to know what that's like, and how do you pay your flipping bills? How do you survive? Like if someone's working in a factory, I want to know how does that work? How do you communicate with your wife, your family? And because I got the ultimate, you've said about what money really means. The ultimate thing, it's not the Lamborghinis or Ferraris and mansions, it's freedom. I can do what I want, when I want, whenever I want. I can work hard in my business because I love it. And I do. I've been working flat out days recently. Not because I have to, because I love making people rich and changing kids' lives and stop them being bullied and underconfident and all these labels that are handed out from autism to ADHD, whether they're real or not, they get this pushed out by academic school, whereas we'll take everyone on. And I like seeing their lives change and parents crying when the kids get their black belts and adults get their black belts, and we take people on with disabilities as well. That's what motivates me. And I also think the world's going to be a very tough place. We've had I won't say it because you're going to be on YouTube, where we had to stay indoors for a period of time and we couldn't go out due to government orders. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but there's billions made out of that. I do believe there will be more of those situations where we have to stay at home, you're not allowed out, not allowed to go to work, etc. Because I think there'll be a global warming one. There'll be other types of diseases and so on. And what do you
think about CDBCs that are coming in place to 2030? Because that scares me the heck out of me.
Yeah.
Because it's coming from China because it's already in place. It's not a conspiracy. In the US, they see that real time. They scan their hand, and they pay their groceries.
Yeah.
It's just their hand. And coming back to China, they have this ecosystem where the whole government, they can identify you based on a camera that are located everywhere, and you're just a serial number on the screen. And especially with artificial intelligence nowadays, that sort of project they can support with artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
They add more to it. And speaking about artificial intelligence, Elon Musk, which he owns one of his companies, Neuralink, they just started the first real project, human trials, that they put a machine on someone's brain to function. Now, they say some of the abilities, I think is the right word, that you can use based on that machine is probably if you have lost an arm, or if you've been to war, maybe part of your brain doesn't work. That machine helps you complete the rest of it. But it's almost like we are becoming machines. We are becoming cyborgs.
Oh, do you know what happened yesterday? I was in my team were in the office, and they wanted me to. They played me an interview, and I said to them, I don't remember doing this. It's me to camera, basically. I don't remember recording that. So you won't do. It's done by AI. And it's my picture talking with my voice. It was a tiny bit off, but
it's a deepfake.
Unbelievable. I was like, wow, flip, I got to be careful, man. It's like, and it's just me talking, and it wasn't even me. I knew nothing about it. And also, going back to Michael Jackson now, I know there's lots of fake songs out there with his voice, which has been used by AI. Right. I don't know how the Michael Jackson estate are going to keep that under control. It's not really Michael's song. So